We've all encountered our fair share of government conspiracy theories over the years, from the idea that the Earth is as flat as a pancake to the claim that the 1969 moon landing was a top-notch video edit, though they couldn't even edit a CGI lightsaber back then. You get the picture, right? But when it comes to conspiracy theories, there's one that stands out as true daylight robbery: the American food pyramid. It's like they were telling us pizza belongs in the same category as broccoli. Did you know that the idea of the American food pyramid was not really because the government actually cared for your health, but because they were making a truckload of money from it? Tell me why grains and cereals will be given more priority over proteins and other healthy fats. Yeah, the whole propaganda is quite sketchy and screams something fishy is going on here. Welcome to Foodipedia, the place to feast on food knowledge served hot and super fresh for everyone. In today's video, get ready for a dish of truth hotter than a jalapeno. We'll discover all the saucy secrets the US government has been hiding from you when it comes to your diet.
You just ate a year's worth of food.
Yeah, what a waste of money. I'm still hungry.
From carb loading galore to the lies they told you about your nutrition, we'll be revealing how the American food pyramid became the biggest lie in global nutrition. So, if you're curious enough to find out the truth about this nutrition fraud and what the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, doesn't want you to know about the food pyramid, then stay strapped to your seats. It's about to be a fun roller coaster ride. Let's face it, the creation of the food pyramid wasn't because people were completely clueless about what to eat and had to beg the government for a dietary roadmap. Nope. It was more like the government's attempt to nudge us in the right direction, kind of like those gentle nudges from a friend saying, "Hey, maybe go easy on the fries and have some veggies, will you?" But the irony of all of it is that the food pyramid's origins weren't about dishing out dietary advice, but rather emerged from the challenges of food shortages. Back in 1943, the USDA cooked up the Basic 7 Food Guide to help Americans deal with rationing during World War II. This guide was a delicious 7-course meal of food groups, including bread and cereals, a bouquet of fruits and veggies, including meat and poultry. Fast forward to 1972, and Sweden was already ahead of the dietary game as it unveiled the world's first food pyramid. However, they've since given it a boot in favor of something simpler and clearer. Now they're using a graph with 3 crucial messages in traffic light colors, because when it comes to food, even Sweden likes to keep it easy to digest. But as for the USA, it was more like a pyramid scheme. It all started in the early 1970s when the country began to see a rise in obesity and decided it was time for some dietary action. However, the USDA, who was the mastermind behind the food pyramid, decided to throw a wild card into the mix by turning what could have been a straightforward solution into a dietary roller coaster that left many folks wrestling with obesity. The USDA wanted to serve some dietary wisdom to Americans, so they gathered a bunch of nutrition experts, sat them down around a table, and basically said, "Put on your thinking hats and cook up some nutrition guidelines for Americans." One person in particular who wore this hat very proudly and seriously was Louise Light, who would later become the USDA's worst nightmare. You see, Louise Light brought on her best game by proposing a food guide that actually made sense. It included 5 to 9 servings of fruit and veggies, 3 to 4 servings of whole grains, breads and cereals, proteins like meat and eggs, and about 4 tablespoons of healthy oils, all for daily consumption. She and her team were pretty solid that this guideline would go through because it encouraged more healthy eating and discouraged the consumption of sugars, refined carbs, and junk foods. However, when they served up this tantalizing proposal to the USDA, it received a shocking rejection. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Why on earth would the USDA reject a dietary guide that perfectly dished out the ideal foods and portions for the people? Well, the answer is not far-fetched. Instead of setting things straight, the USDA allowed lobbyists and politicians with their own hidden agendas to call the shots. And that's when a recipe for a long history of wonky dietary guidelines was cooked up. And we all know the chaos that unfolds when the government takes charge of our plates. This marked the start of the American food pyramid's downfall. Fast forward to 1992, and the USDA finally dropped the new food pyramid that was different from the original idea by Louise Light. They decided to shake things up big time by introducing 4 levels, and at the base of the pyramid, you'd find bread, cereal, rice, and pasta, with a jaw-dropping suggestion of 6 to 11 servings per day. But when you put it into perspective, that's like chowing down on 13 slices of bread and slurping up 2 massive bowls of cereal every day. I mean, who on earth has the stomach real estate for that kind of feast? It's no wonder we've seen diabetes, obesity, and heart disease setting up shop and staging a hostile takeover in America since the 90s. It's like playing a game of how many carbs can you cram in a day, and let me tell you, it's not a game anyone should be winning. The second level of this pyramid shenanigans was divided up into a vegetable group with 3 to 5 servings per day, and a fruit group demanding 2 to 4 servings daily. The third level got more specific, requiring 2 to 3 daily servings from the dairy trio of milk, yogurt, and cheese, and another 2 to 3 daily servings from the protein squad, including meat, poultry, fish, beans, eggs, and nuts. And then the top tier, the fourth level, held fats, oils, and candy, with a stern warning to consume them in moderation. But things only got worse by the end of 1992, when Dr. Light's revolutionary research had mysteriously disappeared from the USDA's dietary guidelines, leaving a gaping void that plunged millions of Americans' health into a serious crisis. I bet you're already wondering why a government would want to trade the health of its citizens over something else. Well, Louise Light had the right answer to this when she said the food pyramid was sold to the highest bidder. And who was this bidder? The grain industry. Yep, our beloved farmers. They waved their wheat-filled wads of cash and claimed a huge chunk of the food pyramid, all thanks to the surplus corn harvest during that time. With the grain industry flexing its economic muscles, the USDA gladly hopped on the bandwagon, looking out for their interests. It was a win-win for the economy, but an undeniable loss for public health. Now, isn't that a plot twist that could beat any Hollywood thriller? So, instead of a food pyramid that helped Americans eat more balanced diets, it was just a shortcut for the big lords to make even more money. And just like any controversial topic concerning public health, the uproar was real as people lashed out at the food pyramid for putting carbs on a pedestal and sidelining protein, fruits, and healthier fats. These criticisms triggered a parade of variations and revisions over the years. First, in 2005, they decided to give the pyramid a makeover and rebranded it as My Pyramid. I don't know about you, but that name sounds more like an invitation to join a secret dietary cult. Hey, would you like to become a member of the exclusive My Pyramid Society? The USDA took a more practical approach with My Pyramid. They ditched the cryptic servings and went with user-friendly ounces and cups to measure serving sizes. They also turned the food groups from a horizontal puzzle into a vertical tower and really emphasized the importance of balance, tailoring your choices to your individual needs. But the fact is that these changes were long overdue, and even a 3-year-old could see that. The rise of heart disease didn't exactly do a disappearing act after the food pyramid took the stage. In fact, conditions like diabetes and obesity, which are closely tied to high-carb diets, went up. So yeah, the food pyramid didn't quite hit the mark. Fast forward to 2011, and a bigger shift occurred, one that aimed to put the health of Americans on a better path. Under the leadership of Michelle Obama, the then First Lady of the United States, the USDA decided to revolutionize the game and introduce the My Plate model. Now, that name definitely sounds more appealing and less like a cult invitation. This new model tops the food pyramid on many levels, as it deviated from the pyramid to a more practical diagram of an actual plate. My Plate brought a breath of fresh air with its sensible approach, divided into 4 sections: green for veggies, red for fruit, orange for grams, and purple for protein. It even leaves a tiny cup for dairy, if you fancy, but really, purple for protein, it's quite the head-scratcher. Maroon or oxblood might have given a better protein vibe. Anyway, My Plate simplifies the message, but it does leave out some essential details, like the fact that it doesn't make it crystal clear that whole grains are a far better choice than refined and easily digestible ones. It's like saying, just eat grains, without distinguishing between the good and the not-so-good ones. And protein sources like fish and beans were given less attention, as red meat gets all the shine for protein. Oh, and healthy fats, My Plate seems to have missed the memo on that one too. It doesn't give you options to load up on those good-for-you unsaturated fats and omega-3s, or to ease up on the saturated fats from meat and dairy. It seems like they forgot to invite all the cool kids to the dietary party. However, rather than crying over spilled milk, we must agree that the MyPlate model has benefited Americans far more than the puzzling food pyramid ever did. Now that we've taken a stroll through the past and present state of the American food pyramid saga, how is the future looking for American dietary guidelines? Are we going to see a health-conscious makeover that meets higher health standards? Or are we in for a dietary standstill? Let's ponder on this, shall we? While dietary guidelines can be a helpful roadmap, we shouldn't rely on them blindly. It's essential to tune into what our bodies truly need and adapt accordingly. So, in this case, it all comes back to us, the consumers. Taking care of our health is ultimately our own responsibility, and we shouldn't blindly follow government food guidelines. Basic nutrition and calorie needs are as diverse as a buffet spread, varying based on factors like age, body composition, health conditions, and activity levels. For instance, a person over 60 years old will have a different diet from someone just under 20 years old. Another example is that the recommended diet for a diabetic person is worlds apart from what someone with cancer might require. In fact, following the American food pyramid for a diabetic can indeed be a recipe for disaster, given its carb load that can turn into sugar in the body. But the beauty of it all is that we don't have to navigate this dietary maze alone. We've got a squad of qualified doctors, dietitians, and nutritionists who are like the GPS for our health journey, ready to guide us on the path that's tailor-made for our well-being. Remember, you are what you eat. So, always try to eat healthy and consult your doctor or nutritionist for the perfect diet guidelines. Now over to you, foodies. What do you think about the shady American food pyramid scheme? Have you ever followed it before? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Foodipedia for more interesting and foodylicious content like this. See you in the next video.